Obviously, things have been going well with him. Things have been going with the lineup with him in it. Just kind of what was your reaction to that?
It sucks. Like you say, we had lineups with him in it are good, really good, and what he was bringing to this team was great. So we'll miss that. But what we'll miss more is just his presence around, his attitude, his demeanor every single day, always smiling, never upset about anything, just always bring great vibes. You sit at the table with Steph, myself, Kyle, and Buddy, and we kind of have formed a good group at that table, and just the things that we talk about and share, you'll miss that more. Obviously, basketball is why we're here, but when you start to forge relationships with guys off the court, that always takes precedent. So we'll miss that more.
Dinner table or?
No, on the plane.
Plane
Yeah. We fly a lot. Yeah. So, you just miss that presence more than anything, the conversations. But he's not dead, so I'm not going to sit here and act like he's dead. Wishing him well and, have a successful surgery. You hate to see a young guy in a contract year go through this, but I know the imprint that he's already left on this organization. He'll have an opportunity to come back. And, hopefully, he decided that's the right thing for him.
He had kind of solidified himself quickly as the starting two. Obviously, that changes now. Lindy's kind of taken that slot. What do you think about what he's doing, and then in general, what do you think about that position?
Lindy's playing well. He just he knows how to play. You come from an organization like OKC, and you can immediately see it in training camp. Just always know where to be. No defensive rotations and assignments. Knows how to get to space. He's playing confident. So we'll need him to continue to play confident. We have the utmost belief in him. And he's we have no doubt that he'll continue to play well for us in that group.
What's the impact of losing DeAnthony beyond just Lindy, and specifically on defense? I mean, DeAnthony seems like that's one of the reasons he was in the lineup and working as a starter. What do you need defensively from not just Lindy, but other wings, I guess?
Well, Melt has solidified himself as that guy who was going to be on the primary ball handler at the team. The one thing we talked about coming into the season was our depth. So we have other guys that are capable. Lindy took on that role tonight with Trae Young, who's one of the toughest guards in this league, and he did a good job. We know that he can defend, and we know he's a competitor, and he'll take on those challenges.
And sort of following up on that, Wiggins is obviously a big perimeter defender for you guys. It seems like he's raised his game on defense this year maybe compared to last year. What have you seen from him on that end, and what do you need to continue to see?
Well, we know how great of a defender Wiggs is, and it's always good to know that you can go to that. But at the same time, he has to score more this year for us. And so those times where you can get him off the ball handler, and have somebody else guarding the ball handler, that helps. Tonight, 27 points. It's no surprise. You're not chasing around Trae Young, So I think that ultimately will help him. And then, Wiggs has been getting some blocks. He's been all over the place defensively. So not only defensively, he's stepped his game up a lot this year, and I wouldn't necessarily say step his game up. He's just playing more like the Andrew Wiggins that we know.
When you're defending the pick and roll and it's a 2-on-1 situation, it's like you're helping against Trae and your guy Capella is behind you. Like, what are you looking for to determine whether to play the shot or the pass?
Well, it's a cat and mouse game. You just, you're trying to read the defender's eyes. Also knowing tendencies. Like, Trae wants to look for that lob. He's made a career off of many other things, but obviously the lob pass, he's one of the best in the league at it, and so that he's looking for that. So you're just trying to keep him off balance, not give, with great players, you give them a steady diet of anything, they eventually figure it out. So I just try to keep him off balance. One time I may commit to him, one time I may fake and go back, it's just kind of in that moment, making a decision each and every time. Each one of them is different. It's never the same. So for me, trying to be the aggressor in that situation, because you're at a disadvantage. It's a 2-on-1. So trying to be the aggressor in whatever it is, whether I'm going to fade back, whether I'm going to attack the ball, just making sure whichever one I decide in that moment that I'm trying to do it aggressively.
Not to belabor the perimeter defense, but when you think about losing DeAnthony, how much does Gary – I mean, Gary's not going to play 30 minutes a game. He's obviously not going to score a bunch of points, but he seems so disruptive on defense. How much can that help – or how much of a factor is that going forward?
It's a huge factor. We know what G is capable of on the defensive end, so it's always good knowing that you have that in your back pocket. But like I said, G isn't Melton. They're two completely different players. What G brings to this team is special, and what Melt was bringing to this team was something totally different. Both very good perimeter defenders. So no one person is going to do that. Where everybody just have to step it up a little bit more.
Brandon's gone through kind of a tough early season. He got hit in the face again tonight, had to leave, I guess. What are you seeing with him and what he's kind of trying to work through right now?
What he's trying to work through is y'all fault. And I told y'all that at the beginning of the year. It's hard, and I don't say this from experience of myself. I say this from experience of watching people. It's hard having a great rookie season and then coming back and having the second year as good or better. It's tough. That's why you've always heard of a sophomore slump. It's a very tough thing to do. And I think for him, he's just put so much pressure on himself for the player that he wants to be and that he thinks he should be, and it's unnecessary. Because what he's special at is doing all the other things on the floor. And when you put the pressure on yourself, like, I got to make this shot, but there are some guys that have that pressure, and they have to because that's what they do. If you don't have to have that pressure, and I say that from experience, don't put that pressure on yourself because it's hard night in and night out to live based on whether you make shots or not. It's a tough thing to do. Only the greatest can do it. And I think he's capable of becoming a really, really, really good player in this league. But why put the added pressure on yourself? Why beat yourself up? We believe in him. The amount of pressure that he puts on himself with each shot is insane. And so I'm saying this also, so I hope he hear it. Me and Steph talk to him every day. Like, who cares? Miss 7 of them. No one cares but you. Like, you're the only person thinking about the shots you miss. No one else is thinking about it. But he kind of puts this pressure on himself of what he needs to be, and every shot means so much. Man, it's a soft Wednesday in November. That shot don't mean that much. But he carries that weight. And I think anyone who carries that amount of weight in anything, it affects you negatively. And I hate that for him, and so that's something that we've been trying to talk to him about. Like, stop reacting to everything that goes wrong for you. No one cares but you. Nobody else. You know why? Because what we care about is all of the other things that you do. So if you do all of those things well, and that can keep you on the floor, who cares about the shot? And I think he has to reach that point. But some of that is who you are as a person. And so you have to do that work as well. So we have the utmost belief in him, and he's been positively affecting his team. So I'm not saying he's in any way hurting us as a team. Like, we're a better team when he's on the floor. But he's got to stop putting the pressure on himself that he puts on himself each and every night.
Just follow up to, have you seen him? Has he said that, oh my God, I'm letting you down when I miss? Have you heard him basically have that emotion?
Yeah. And you almost want to tell him, shut up, man. Like, because again, none of us are thinking that way. Like, we just don't. When the pace that you bring to the floor, the crackbacks that you get, the steals that you're getting on the weak side rotation, the charges that you take, those are all great things. So if the one thing that you're struggling with is your shot, but you're doing 5 or 6 other things great, I think that will outweigh your shot. And he should appreciate that. Lean into that. If he leans into that, the shots will fall. But if he keep putting that amount of pressure on himself and thinking, oh, I'm letting you down, I used to think that way. Like, man, who cares? If I make it, great. If I miss it, oh, well, I'm going to shoot the next one. And it's hard to get there. Like, I've done a lot of work to try to get my mentality there. And he's young, so he'll learn that as he goes. But we have the utmost belief in him, and we need him to have that same belief in himself.
Hi, Draymond. Steve has applauded the organization of how you guys are playing more organized basketball. To still, passing and moving the ball the way you have, but a couple of new coaches have brought some ideas that have led to the turnovers lowering. And what is your take on that? And what have those coaches, how have they impacted you, and maybe just some tweaks that they've contributed to that have led to good things, taking care of the ball?
Well, number one, they've brought new life. And that's always good. When you're in a situation like we're in, where we've been doing this for a long time now, anytime you get fresh energy and new life, it always helps. They bring a different perspective. Spoke about Stackhouse and the defense and the different rotations. That's not quite NBA standard. But the energy that he brings with it, it assures you and it reassures you and gives you the confidence that you need to go out and execute it. Stats and some of the things that he's brought to the offense has been great, and he preaches them every single day. And so you start to buy into him. And I think they've done a great job of just the new things that they've brought. And it hasn't been like let's overhaul this whole system and do this. Like, no, it's worked. But you can change some things and we can be better. And the things that we struggled at was a point of emphasis. And they've done a great job of that. And then Steve's been on me and Steph crazy about turnovers. He had a whole film session with me today. That's why I wanted to crush Buddy when he didn't trail in the right spot. And I got his turnover because Steve had a whole film session with me today about my turnovers. And it was great for me to see, because the one area that I've tried to cut the turnovers back is the risky full court stuff. And Steph and I have been talking a lot about that. And so for him to show me the half court stuff, and when I'm getting sped up, I felt one where I got sped up today and I almost turned it over, but I didn't. But then I felt 4 or 5 of them where he showed me the clips and the same thing happened and I was able to capitalize on it. So, he's been harping on that, and it's been really good, and I think guys are doing a good job of adjusting to it.
Just the two of you today? Or was it a bigger?
No, it was just me and him. And he showed me some clips of where I'm getting sped up and where I can settle down, and just kind of told me what my next my next area of growth for this team is, and it's in that area. And so it's something that I'm locking in and trying to focus on. 3 turnovers today is still too many, but it's an area that I'm conscious of and trying to focus on.
Hello, Draymond. You talk about Brandon, sometimes young player doesn't put too much pressures on ourselves. But when you were young, when you meet the same situation, how you adjust your mentality stuff?
Well, there were times where I think for me it was a little less of putting so much pressure on myself for the shot and just not shooting it. And so we all deal with our stuff in different ways. Like mine was losing confidence and not shooting at all. And I'm happy he's not doing that, But in the same token, they're similar struggles. One, it's just kind of a different reaction to the struggle, but it's a similar struggle. And the reality is in order to get over it, I just had to forget about it. Like, if you're supposed to shoot, shoot, and that was kind of the growth for me. It's going to be on him to figure out on his own personal journey of what it is for him to get him to stop doing that. But it's on Steph and I as leaders to try to help him out with that.